and just go for it. He would just, you know, 5 factories and just pressure. And a lot of people actually always said 5 factories. Why do you get 5 factories? Because in StarCraft 1, you could actually go up to 6 factories. And
that's when you're making vultures and stuff,
yeah,
though, right?
making vultures. But it's the fact that you had a higher capability. But it was a weird timing when he would stop SEVs and you can only use 5 factories. And people wouldn't actually account for that because they're like, well, they're probably going to go 6 factories because that's the ultimate aggression. But because he cuts so early, it comes like a minute faster. And that's where he was able to take a lot of different games off of players. It was actually really cool back in StarCraft 1 to see his style flourish. But in StarCraft 2, I feel like we haven't really seen that much of him. He mixes up his build a ton, but he doesn't do any of those cool timings that we've seen.
So you're saying your StarCraft 1 knowledge is still fresh, Andre, huh? Is that what you're telling me?
It might be.
Maybe. Strelok has
why
been
do you ask? Why do you ask, Frodan?
Nothing. I'm just curious, man. That's all.
Okay. Well, we'll see if StarCraft 1 actually makes a reprisal sometime.
Did you ever play Strelok in Brood War?
I did.
How was your record against
Didn't
it?
do well.
Strelok's a great
100%
Terran.
loss rate.
In Brood War and in StarCraft 2. He is the red Terran in the bottom right corner, getting scouted by a green drone hailing from the land of Dark. He's also from the land of Slayers. It is Slayers Dark. He is scouting with his drone, very not greedy. What's the opposite of not greedy? I don't want to say generous. It's like he's safe.
Yes.
But yeah. I feel like safe isn't necessarily the best word sometimes to be the opposite of greedy, though. Conservative. Because this is Whirlwind. It's a map where sending out a drone scout doesn't guarantee you'll be able to see anything. It's a huge map.
Yep. I feel like just looking at the Xel'Naga Tower would be a lot easier. Because if you're going to proxy 2 barracks, it's like, well, okay. It's probably going to be in the middle of the map. It's not going to be like right next to your base. That would be insane. Of course, there's been crazier things that happen.
Man. I can't believe my producer just told me to say conservative and greedy are polar opposites when he clearly has listened to the political debates between the presidents.
Seriously.
Anyways, just kidding, guys.
Conservative and greedy are the same thing in America.
Oh, that was a cheap shot. All right, here we go. We see that Dark is getting an early gas. This is actually really common nowadays. Some Zergs still go gasless. We see kind of like the 6 queen, 7 queen build sometimes, but Zergs have generally agreed that early speed is good. Andre, how do you like opening ZVT on really big maps nowadays? Is speed still necessary to be safe?
Absolutely. Speed is super important because of the open space, I would say. Not necessarily the big space, but you can see the third base. Very difficult to actually take. Hard to get creep spread expanded over here. So why not get that earlier metabolic boost to make sure you're comprehensive against something like Hellions, which is almost inevitable. I mean, we've seen Reactor Hellions 90% of all games TVZ. And that's just because Hellions are just such a dominant unit against Zerglings, and they match the speed pretty comparably. So why not get those? Why not, Frodan?
Yeah, and then it's so funny because I talked to Vi about this. He says because he goes speed, he actually doesn't have to get as many Zerglings.
That's right.
To fend off early on, because you can scout more, you can be more active, you get a good sense of what the Terran can do, and see if you need to make more Zerglings from there. Yeah. The only drawback is, you don't have the queens as quickly to spread as much creep. Although, interestingly enough, Dark's keeping his drones on gas instead of pulling it off, Andre.
Very interesting, actually.
Yeah, I wonder what he's doing.
Probably some sort of 2-base follow-up to this, because it's so common these days to actually go through Oracle Command Center. And if you don't actually scout out your opponent and see that it's coming, you're in a ton of trouble. Just because Mutas off of 2-base actually comes in super, super early at a time where if you're going mech, you're not even having Thors out in the field. It's really, really scary. So look at this top left-hand position. Supply depot going down there. That's kind of cool.
Yes, maybe to see for Mutas, but you're right, Andre. I mean, I guess maybe the 15 Mutas at 15 minutes, he's getting ready.
Oh, God. Well,
maybe he's getting ready for that.
Hey, man. Those 15 Mutas at 15 minutes.
Hey, man.
They beat some...
He was harassing a lot with the Zerglings, to be fair.
No, I'm just kidding. Apollo's a good guy.
I'm making fun.
And I completely respect his play, but
I'm just having fun.
It's super unfortunate. Like, just I could see it in him. It's like me losing to, I don't know, like my producer, you know, not Elliot, my my director producer. I'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I actually lost to you. You don't even play the game.
That's pretty funny. But we'll see. There's just like you said, Andre is going to go for a little bit of a delayed third. I'm talking about Slayer's Dark.
Yeah.
But he's not going for a fast layer. He's still pooling lots of gas.
Look at how much gas he has, Frodan. 350. What are you going to do with that gas?
You can get double upgrades, but still you have excess more.
You know, I did a build similar to this if I'm in Dark's position. And to be completely honest, oh, I forgot to tell the rest of my story. I did a build like this back when Sen was here, Sen and Todd, for one of the show matches. And Sen laughed at me for doing this. He's like, why you have so much gas? I'm like, why, man? Gas is good. You get infestors and everything. He's like, yeah, but so early you can actually get much more drones, much more expansion, and then just get the same amount of infestors, and you don't have to get gas that early. I'm like,
wow.
I guess.
That must have crushed your soul a little bit. That Sen was saying.
It didn't, because then I started to tear and almost beat alive with it. And I was like, oh, thanks, Sen. You're awesome, man.
Strelok's also doing a little bit of a Q tactic. In top left, he has a third expansion that's finishing up. And he's just going to try to pressure with Hellions. I guess he's trying to sell like he's going to go for 3 orbital, I guess, conventionally with a Hellion poke. But it's actually 3 orbitals in the top left corner.
Well, do you know what he's going to do? He's going to throw down a 4th orbital command center, most likely. He needs to also sell that he's being passive. Because if he doesn't sell that he's being passive, what's going to happen is if Dark gets a good scout off him, he's going to say, wait, you have 2 armories, I see that. You don't have your production, and you don't have a 3rd command
it's
center.
like, well, where's that 3rd command center? How can you sustain this much?
Or not even sustain it. There's a huge gap where you should have your production a little bit earlier, and this is cool. There's the command center right there. It's right in front of the Zerglings. Did they actually see it? Yes, they did. So this is actually a really clever command center. I love the positioning, showing it to his opponent. And if Dark actually killed that, he would have a false sense of security that he's a lot farther ahead than he actually is, because this 3rd command center is in the top left-hand corner. And look at that, smartly done. All the mules are being allocated off of here. And I'm a huge proponent of actually only putting your mules on your ninja expansions and putting your mules on the same mineral patches.
So that it mines out fast.
So it mines out faster. That way, if Dark actually takes this, he's like, wait a minute. Let's see, he commits all of his mules to just these 2. It's like, oh, I'm missing 2 nodes. What the heck?
Yep, and also if you doing it on the closer mineral patches, I know it might not make that big of a difference to you, but some mules can make the trip to 300 minerals instead of 270 based off the distance. Yes, Strelok now has the double armory in place, going for Hellion Thor, the variation of MVP. As the Zerglings are attacking and running by on the natural. A lot of Zergling kills, actually, right there. And Strelok's SCV count has been weakened considerably, but I still think he's selling this super well.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is...
Oh, yes.
Strelok has a future business, and as an infomercial guy, man. He can sell anything.
Seriously, I mean, right now, all that his opponent is reading is, yes, you're going some sort of mech because of that Raven, and the Banshee count is still increasing. But I have no clue where your army is. I have no clue your current composition. And that's why he stayed on 3 base for so long, because he's actually expecting some sort of huge amount of pressure. It's because he's been able to actually cut all of this information from him. If we go to Dark's cam, I don't know why I'm selecting that one. If we go to Dark's cam, he hasn't actually scouted inside. This is a big, big problem. I always feel like if I'm playing Zerg against some sort of mech, I need to actually see what my opponent's factory count is. Because if I see a low amount of factories, I know they're actually playing a lot more defensive, and they're just looking to, you know, play macro style. If I see a lot of factories, then I'm expecting some sort of push. But because he doesn't even know that's happening, he's going with a more conservative route, which is to go ahead, just wait, get a huge army, and then take your expansions. And I think that's incorrect.
With this MVP variation of build, when I say that, I mean you open up double armory after 1 factory. That's pretty much a loose interpretation while making Banshees. But Strelok's trying to, you know, kind of mold it to his own. He, in fact, has switched over to tanks and stopped Banshee production altogether. and has directly went into siege tech. And that's just going to set up a really strong 2-2 timing with the armies. If he can stabilize on this basis, he's getting another run by again at his expansion. Kind of needs to stabilize on that.
Yeah, very unfortunate. He wants to keep those refineries alive because the refineries obviously give him more meching units. It's really actually kind of weird that that Strelok has been so, I don't know what the word is, but so liberal with his defense.
You mean he's like not walling off and stuff?
Like he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's actually like the bunker is finally going up after a couple of minutes. In fact, the Zerglings are like, well, he doesn't have a wall again, right? And you're right, Zerglings, except there's units waiting this time, so Strelok finally able to deal with that. But at the same time, I think there's still kind of this element of mystery. He says, okay, I see a lot of Hellions. Does he have a lot of tanks? Does he have a lot of Thors? What's his actual unit composition consisting of? And now he's about to find out. Love the incorporation of a Raven as well, just to deal with creep tumors, as Strelok also controlled some of the Overlord vision with one single Viking. Oh, the Hellions getting positioned to fungal.
And he's going to get the Raven. That's going to be such a critical pickoff.
Or will he? The Raven backs off. The tanks are already sieged up, but where is the mass Hellion kind of deal with everything? The Infested Terrans are just chewing up everything, even the splash damage.
Ladies and gentlemen, the power of Infested Terran, even against a mech when there are Hellions out. He just cleared up everything, Frodan. This is insane. Yes, there's a siege tank and a Thor left from that battle, but look at how much investment was behind that mech army. You're supposed to be stable. You're supposed to be secure. This passivity that this battle has just encouraged is actually going to give Dark a huge swell of an advantage just because his Hive tech is now operational. So he can go to Ultralisks, he can go to, you know, even Spire, and I feel like Ultras are actually the better choice in this case. Yes, Broodlords are so effective regardless, but when you have mech that's so immobile in a large map, when you have all of the creep spread, go ahead and use the Ultra. It's more mobile, you have the ability to do more counterattacks, more back attacks, and you can probably deny expansion consistently.
I agree, Andre. And Strelok kind of was trying to set up for the 2-2 timing. You saw him lining up and trying to see if he can push. Just never was able to get into the position he needed to. So Strelok forced to play passive yet again, but that's just going to give Dark a little bit more room to squeeze out that extra tech. You see, he's getting Spire out. His Hive is done. He's going to get Greater Spire. And will Strelok have the Vikings to be able to deal with it? Although Strelok already starting to prepare for that, getting +1 air weapon.
Here we go again. Infested Terrans are marching forward. And who cares? These tanks are like just free food for
it's energy for units. It's energy for a lot of units. More units are swarming forward, Andre. Even some Banelings coming in, which is not really efficient against Thor tank, but who cares when you're able to get detonations like this? The Roaches are pushing forward, and the Infested Terrans are just starting to march their way to buffer for more time. It doesn't even matter that the upgrades from Terran are super strong. It's just that these units are just, they're trading, they're keeping the big ball down.
That's right, and the Banshees are actually able to deal with these units pretty nicely, but additional Infestors are coming forward that have the ability to actually fungal. I think we're going to actually see a continuation attack really, really quickly. The Infestor count is still pretty good, so he gets, you know, every, what, like 30, 40 seconds, he gets another round of Infested Terrans, and when you have, where is it, 18 Infestors out in the field, that's 18 Infested Terrans every 30, 40 seconds, 17 Infestors out in the field, after throwing one away. Oh, so sad. But Strelok, I think, needs to think about, oh, drone actually seeing the top left-hand corner. Yeah. I don't know why Strelok is actually expanding here. That's so risky.
He's about to lose. I mean, yeah, if you mine out of the main, of the top left main, just, I guess, move that orbital command. But I guess in the eyes of Strelok, he's just, he doesn't actually feel that far economically behind. It's just that his army strength, the integrity of his army is very small. Just because he doesn't have a lot of room to push, and by the time he does, will he be able to strike at appropriate timing? Because Broodlords might be done. He's not necessarily sure, but this is a good time for, oh shoot, there's so many Infestors with a lot of energy.
Yes, sir. Oh my God, Infested Terrans come out so fast. Goodbye, Thors. Now you see them, Frodan. Now you still see them.
Now you see them. Now you see a little bit less of them. That is,
less.
It's nice. Come on, it was ridiculously
that was
one-sided. And now Dark has also infiltrated the top left as well. Strelok has to evacuate. And with that, Strelok, again, his push has been I guess, thwarted. Strelok is on a pretty decent economy still, but I mean, he's got a lot of orbital commands, and as soon as he just starts dropping mules at bases, he'll be all right. But the fact is, does he have any kind of semblance of map control? Because I feel like Dark just still gets stronger. He's adding 9 more infestors. He's getting Broodlords out inevitably. How can Strelok continue to power? Because right now, he's just constantly rebuilding his core when Dark is just adding more things to make him more intimidating.
That's right, and you know, losing that many Thors in that last battle is actually really critical because Thors take the longest amount of time. I mean, you're looking at 1 Thor a minute. That's really brutal. So think, if I want 4 more Thors, I have to wait, what, a whole minute? Yeah, a whole minute just for those to pop out. And Thors by themselves aren't good. You need them to synergize with siege tanks because if I only have Thors in my army, I can actually just eat up all your Thors easily with Neural Parasite. Neural Parasite is actually a fantastic way at dealing with a Thor, a mass Thor army. So just something to note. Oh my God!
The Banelings and Zerglings deal with the planetary. No building armor, but you know what, Strelok? He doesn't even really, he can't really afford it because he just has to deal with all these infested Terrans, man. These tanks don't even know where to shoot. They're turning their head as if they're looking for the keys, but all they're finding are infested Terrans. And that's just too much damage because the Strelok, he can't even expand from this point. He's gonna be on half a base economy soon because his well, I guess he's gonna have 1 base if he drops a bunch of mules, but he doesn't really have the natural going anymore. He's starting to run really dry everywhere he goes, and he's getting backed into the corner, and his units are weak. 1 Thor is just literally going to drop off.
Repair it! Okay, he's got the repair. Cool. Oh my God, that was so close. I'm sorry, I was focusing on that.
That's all right, Andre. I know it pains you to see units or buildings burned down. It might also pain you to see all these Thors and tanks dropping.
Frodan, it does.
The Thors have so much armor that deals well with the Zerglings if there were things like Hellions to support the unit, but you know what, man? It's just there's too much small units around picking away at all the Terran units that are not grouped together. I feel like this is just like one bad MOBA game, man, where all the powerful things just don't group together and they just get segregated.
Yep, it's like watching Testy play Heroes of Newerth.
Wow. Cheap shot. All right, well,
sorry,
here, Dark is just still maxed, pushing in. And what do we always say, Andre? It ain't no party like a beach ball party because the beach ball party don't stop. It's just more and more infested Terrans, GG. And that T button really come to use. Slayer's Dark winning game number 1.
It's actually, you can just hold the T button, right? And then just spam left click.
You know what Major did when he visited us at the studio? He changed infested Terran to I. I'm like, why would you change it to I? He's like, Brood War hotkeys, bro. I know. I'm like, but why? And I'm like, you can make it more convenient with T. And he's like, but that's just how I played in Brood War. I'm like, infested Terrans were not in StarCraft Brood War. And he says, but still, they made everything on the first letter.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And you know what infested Terrans came out of?
They came out of infested command centers.
Infested command centers, okay? Infested command centers were never seen in the game, so why?
That's right, they were in Brood War.
They
were so different.
Yeah,
though.
They were so different.
They were Banelings.
500 damage Banelings, yes.
But they only attacked ground, right?
They only attack ground.
Okay.
Same thing, though.
Well, because a Widowmine is basically a Baneling that always does.
But not 500 damage. You can actually, it was awesome. You could actually take a single infested Terran, attack like 4 supply depots or 3 supply depots that are all close to each other, and then they would all be dealt 499 damage because of base 1 armor, and then it all
That's right, it always like burned down at the very last second. That's really funny. Guys, that game number 1 is brought to you by GoToMyPC. GoToMyPC is a way to do like remote file transfers, managing multiple users, remote access, privacy. All this is possible and more. In fact, maybe you can even play StarCraft remotely. Say you're playing at work and you want to control. I don't know. You guys do it with your own free time. Go to NASL.tv/p/GoToMyPC. The possibilities are endless. We'll be back with game number 2 between Dark versus Strelok. I hope Strelok's got some answer to infested Terrans because Dark is not stopping anytime soon. We'll be back with more right after this.